Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in one of the most explosive and secretive events of the modern era.
We really are.
We're tracing the timeline of a boy named Harry, his sudden, shocking entry into a hidden world he never knew existed, and the immense burden of destiny just, immediately placed upon his shoulders.
And we're synthesizing a lot here. We've got eyewitness reports, personal memories, some very tense, overheard conversations. The goal is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened.
And the immediate implications for literally everyone involved.
Our mission really is to piece together this whole dramatic story, starting with the night the world began to fracture.
And you have to understand the atmosphere here.
Yeah.
This was not a quiet transition at all.
Oh, not at all. The events leading up to this boy's arrival at his new home were, well, they were marked by undeniable public chaos. The ordinary world was basically forced to notice that something fundamental had shifted.
The disruption was just so widespread. We have confirmed reports of hundreds of owls. These are creatures of the night flying across the entire nation in broad daylight.
Which is completely contrary to nature.
Completely. And then you have shooting stars reported in clusters, strangers in cloaks seen whispering on street corners.
For people who live their lives based on predictability and order, the muggles, as our courses call them, this was just terrifying.
Right.
And we see this anxiety perfectly embodied in one Mr. Dursley, a man who sees this chaos unfolding on the evening news and is desperately trying to rationalize the madness.
This is a man who actively denies the existence of his wife's sister, Petunia Potter, just because she represents everything abnormal.
Exactly. And his carefully constructed denial just shatters. It shatters completely when he finally hears the name, the whispered source of all this public excitement and fear.
The Potters. Yes, their son Harry.
And that name, the link to the very abnormality he tried to suppress, it just brings this deep, cold terror flooding through him.
It was so clear this massive, unseen event was linked directly to the fate of his estranged in-laws and, well, their surviving son.
Precisely. All of this chaos was really just the prologue. It sets the stage for the true pivot point, that quiet late-night scene where the most powerful figures in this hidden society arrive to execute an uncomfortable, history-defining plan.
Okay, so let's unpack this opening scene. The arrival on Privet Drive. The sheer contrast here is, it's overwhelming.
It's so stark.
You have this quiet, perfect, ordinary street, and then the appearance of these extraordinary people. We were talking about Albus Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall converging on this totally unremarkable suburb.
And that contrast is so deliberate. It immediately tells us about their roles and personalities. Dumbledore is described as ancient. He's grand, wearing flowing purple robes, a magnificent silver beard tucked into his belt.
He just projects this whimsical but really imposing sense of authority. He's the leader, capable of handling these immense world-shaking events with such calm.
Whereas Professor McGonagall is his severe, highly practical counterpart.
Right.
She's an emerald. Her hair is pulled into this tight bun, and she spent the whole day disguised as a serious tabby cat, just observing the muggles and confirming the dangers of this whole operation.
She is a pragmatist, deeply worried about security, about propriety.
And the first piece of explicit magic Dumbledore performs, it illustrates his power and priorities perfectly. He uses this little silver device to just click out every single street lamp on the road,
Plunging Privet Drive into deep, protective darkness.
This put-outer, as it's called, it's not just for show. It is an act of powerful, secretive control. He's ensuring this monumental transfer is utterly invisible to the locals.
But McGonagall is already agitated. She's challenging Dumbledore's calm. She says, even the Muggles have noticed something's going on.
She's highlighting her concern that the secretive world they protect is already failing at its most basic task, staying hidden.
And Dumbledore's response, offering her a lemon drop, it just emphasizes how differently they react to pressure.
Her anxiety really stems from the confirmation of this devastating news. She presses Dumbledore, asking if the figure they fear so much, the dark wizard they only dare to call you-know-who, is truly gone.
Dumbledore confirms they have much to be thankful for, but he immediately addresses the culture of fear. In a remarkable show of principle, he insists they have to stop using euphemisms and use the wizard's proper name, Voldemort.
And McGonagall visibly flinches. You can just see it. It demonstrates the sheer universal terror this name commands.
This is so much more than semantics.
Oh, yeah. Dumbledore is establishing a foundational belief right there. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself. He's positioning himself as the necessary standard bearer against this psychological weapon.
Which leads McGonagall to concede that Voldemort was at least afraid of Dumbledore.
Right. And then the conversation pivots to the immense, tragic cost of this conflict. They confirm the horrific rumor. Lily and James Potter are dead.
And Dumbledore bows his head. He's expressing genuine, heavy grief.
But the truly staggering, unprecedented event is the survival of their infant son, Harry.
The rumors confirm that Voldemort tried to kill Harry, but he failed. The curse, which had killed so many powerful people, it rebounded, breaking Voldemort's power and causing him to vanish.
This infant boy stopped the most powerful dark wizard of the age.
And the only physical evidence of this miracle is this small, curiously shaped cut on Harry's forehead, like a bolt of lightning. This instantly creates the legend of the boy who lived.
A figure of immediate, dangerous fame.
And Dumbledore is profoundly concerned with the consequences of this instant celebrity. He looks very seriously over his spectacles and articulates the terrible decision that necessitated their meeting. Harry cannot grow up known by all.
And this is where McGonagall offers this fierce first-hand protest. She had spent the day observing the Dursleys, Harry's only remaining relatives. She describes them as the least like us, embodying everything non-magical and dull.
She even recounts observing their son, Dudley, screaming and kicking for sweets.
McGonagall's ethical dilemma is so clear. It's immediate cruelty versus long-term security. She foresees the misery the child will endure under their roof. But Dumbledore remains firm.
He argues that the fame, the instant adoration, the knowledge that every child knows his name, that corrosive celebrity, would be enough to turn any boy's head.
By isolating him with the Muggles, he believes he's protecting Harry from his own destiny until he's mature enough to handle it. It makes the Dursleys a regrettable necessity.
It's an ethically complex choice, choosing psychological isolation over the risk of becoming a spoiled, self-obsessed celebrity. And just then, the transportation arrives.
The huge, shaggy, and immensely grieving figure of Hagrid, riding a massive, borrowed motorcycle, carrying baby Harry wrapped in blankets.
Hagrid's grief is just so raw and unrestrained. He's devastated by the loss of Lily and James, and he's sobbing openly at the thought of this baby living with Muggles.
And his raw display of emotion, it contrasts so sharply with Dumbledore's calculated stoicism and McGonagall's stern anxiety. Hagrid embodies the emotional cost of the war, which makes him immediately relatable.
The scene just concludes with the three of them standing there in silence. Dumbledore lays the baby on the doorstep, tucking a letter explaining everything into the blankets. The child is left utterly alone, oblivious to the fact that his survival is already being secretly celebrated across the country, a legendary figure just waiting to be found.
And the jump forward 10 years is jarring.
So jarring.
We move from the immense scale of world-changing magic to the suffocating smallness of Harry's life. The source material paints a grim picture. Harry is not a cherished relative.
No, he's actively mistreated. The description is he's treated like a dog that had rolled in something smelly.
It's psychological warfare by the Dursleys. His bedroom was, for years, the cupboard under the stairs.
He was forced to wear these baggy, oversized hand-me-downs from his much larger cousin Dudley, and his glasses were frequently taped together. The rule for survival was absolute don't ask questions.
In the Dursleys' mind, silence equals control.
And their core motivation is just absolute paranoid denial. They concocted a lie that Harry's parents died in a car crash. They banned all photographs.
They live in constant low-grade terror that the abnormality, the dangerous nonsense, as they call it, will manifest and expose their perfectly ordinary lives.
And what we learned about Harry's fragmented memory of that night is so crucial. He only recalls a blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead.
He internalizes this as the car crash, which just shows how effective the Dursleys' propaganda was. He is literally living in the psychological shadow of a lie.
But the irony is that his power is uncontainable.
It is. His magic is an innate physiological response to his emotional state, usually extreme fear or stress or a deep sense of injustice.
Right, like when he's chased by Dudley's gang, he just finds himself inexplicably on a rooftop, completely out of reach.
Or when Aunt Petunia shears his hair off in this fit of pique, trying to hide his scar, his hair just instantly regrows, in complete defiance of logic.
It's his suppressed identity literally fighting back against the repression.
And he gets a week in the cupboard for his hair growing back, which just shows the impossible standard he's being held to.
And the first major documented act of magic happens at the zoo. This incident gives us incredible insight into Harry's compassionate, empathetic character, which somehow developed despite years of cruelty.
He finds himself watching a giant boa constrictor that is miserably asleep, and he feels sympathy because he thinks the snake's confinement is even worse than his cupboard. It has no company but stupid people disturbing it.
This empathy, it enables this impossible communication. The snake raises its head, levels its eyes with Harry's, and it winks.
They establish this immediate nonverbal connection. It confirms the snake's origins were in a zoo, not the wild. Harry murmurs, I know, it must be really annoying. He feels seen, understood, maybe for the very first time.
And the magical climax happens when Dudley and his friend Piers come back, yelling for attention. Harry, wishing so intensely for the snake's freedom, causes the glass enclosure to completely vanish.
The snake slides out and apparently hisses, thanks, amigo, before making its escape toward Brazil. The consequences are immediate. Panic, apologies to the zoo director.
And Harry being grounded severely. But the repression failed. That incident proved to Harry that the strange things that happen around him are real, they're uncontrollable, and possibly, helpful. So that moment of accidental magic, that marks the internal turning point. But the external turning point is the arrival of the letters.
Yes.
The persistent, targeted harassment by the magical world just shatters the Dursleys' denial completely.
And the letters are designed to be impossible to ignore. The first one arrives addressed to the cupboard under the stairs.
That astonishing specificity causes immediate physical panic in Uncle Vernon. His face literally changes colors, red with rage, then gray-white with fear as he reads the opening line.
And Petunia clutches her throat. They recognize the source and the threat immediately.
Vernon's response is fear escalating into pure paranoia. He immediately starts muttering about watching spying might be following us.
His initial response is denial. Burn the letters, lie, claim it was all a mistake.
But the letters keep coming, forcing him to escalate his countermeasures. They move Harry to Dudley's second bedroom, only for the letters to find him there too.
Vernon resorts to sleeping at the foot of the door to guard the mail, only to be humiliated when Harry trips over his face in the morning.
The chaos culminates with this final, frantic deluge. Hundreds of letters stream into the kitchen, flooding the room, forcing Vernon to flee in utter panic, pulling great tufts out of his mustache.
His decision, total isolation.
They lead the family on this wild, desperate escape, first to a gloomy hotel, where the mail finds Harry again.
Room 17, Railview Hotel, Cokeworth.
And finally to a miserable, storm-battered shack perched on a rock at sea. They think they've finally broken the connection.
But exactly at midnight, the dramatic, earth-shattering entrance occurs. Hagrid arrives with a deafening crash, the door knocked flat, the power dynamic shifts instantly.
Hagrid is huge. He fills the entire hut, and the Dursleys just shrink back in terror.
Uncle Vernon tries desperately to assert control, but Hagrid just brushes him aside and delivers the core declaration that defines Harry's identity.
Harry, you're a wizard.
And Harry is understandably confused, but Hagrid turns his outrage directly on the Dursleys. His voice trembles with rage as he accuses them of keeping Harry ignorant, confirming that he saw Dumbledore leave that explanatory letter all those years ago.
Vernon's attempt to forbid the truth is completely futile. Hagrid presents the official, formal letter of acceptance to Hogwarts.
And with the truth of his identity established, the conversation has to address the most difficult topic, the scar.
Hagrid recounts the difficult history, starting with the dark days and the rise of a wizard so powerful and feared that everyone, including Hagrid, refuses to speak his name.
Voldemort.
He details that horrifying night 10 years ago on Halloween. Voldemort killed Lily and James Potter. Then came the inexplicable mystery. The killing curse failed when it was directed at baby Harry.
The curse rebounded, breaking Voldemort's power, causing him to vanish.
The scar is the proof. It's not a simple wound. It is what remains when the darkest magic touched him but couldn't kill him.
This failure makes Harry famous, the only person ever to survive Voldemort's direct killing intent. Harry finally realizes the strange incidents of his life weren't because he was weird, but because he was a wizard.
He's skeptical, though. He says, I don't think I can be a wizard.
But Hagrid reminds him of the hair, the rooftop, the snake, and Hagrid's own little moment of emotional magic, his failed attempt to turn Vernon into a pig. It just serves as further proof that magic is real, even if it's currently imperfectly channeled.
With the truth out, the focus shifts entirely to Harry's immediate preparation for his new life. Hagrid taps the boat twice with his pink umbrella to speed them away from that miserable shack and leads Harry to the financial and commercial heart of the hidden world.
The entrance is a key piece of security, a specific brick behind a gloomy pub. When Hagrid taps it, the wall just writhes and opens, revealing Diagon Alley.
It's a sudden rush of cobbled streets, bustling activity, shops filled with cauldrons, spellbooks, vibrant magical supplies. It is the immediate sensory opposite of Privet Drive.
And their first essential stop is Gringotts, the Wizard Bank. This isn't just a place to store money, it's a testament to the wizarding world's inherent security and mistrust.
It's run entirely by goblins, and we learn that the high security vaults are rumored to be guarded by dragons.
Right. That level of security tells you that the things wizards value and the secrets they keep are intensely precious and potentially very dangerous.
Hagrid has a dual mandate here. First, retrieving Harry's money from the family vault, which is a surprising amount of gold, silver, and bronze coins.
And second, a highly classified mission for Dumbledore, collecting a mysterious secret package. Hogwarts business, Hagrid insists, which he cannot discuss.
The cart ride down to the vaults is just terrifying. A high-speed plummet into this dizzying maze hundreds of miles beneath London.
The journey itself is a deterrent. If you manage to rob a vault, you'd likely starve just trying to find your way out of the subterranean network.
After securing his funds, Harry gets his first painful taste of the social politics of the wizarding world at Madame Malkin's robe shop.
He meets a pale, pointed-faced boy with a bored, drawling voice. Draco Malfoy.
And Malfoy immediately establishes a hierarchy based on lineage and wealth. He boasts about his family's Slytherin legacy and expresses immediate disdain for the lack of brooms for first years.
When he sees Hagrid outside, Malfoy just dismisses him as a sort of servant.
This is a pivotal moment for Harry's character. Despite his own unfamiliarity with this world, he instinctively defends Hagrid, saying he thinks he's brilliant, already recoiling from this boy's snobbery.
Malfoy then reveals his deep-seated prejudice, stating, "I really don't think they should let the other sort in," referring to Muggleborns who have never even heard of Hogwarts.
He's judging Harry based on his perceived lack of status and his association with a perceived low-class figure. And Harry just rejects this exclusionary worldview immediately, even before knowing Malfoy's name.
The final, most intimate moment of preparation takes place in Ollivander's, the wand shop. A dusty, silent space filled with thousands of magical instruments. It's here Harry is linked directly to his destiny and his past.
Mr. Ollivander, with his unsettling, pale, silvery eyes, seems to remember every wand he's ever sold. He immediately recognizes Harry, commenting on his mother's eyes and recalling the exact specifications of his parents' wands. Then he focuses intensely on the lightning scar.
And he delivers a shocking confession. "I'm sorry to say I sold the wand that did it."
Wow.
He describes Voldemort's wandu, 13.5 inches, very powerful, and the tragedy just deepens. He sold the instrument of Harry's ultimate loss.
After numerous failed attempts to match Harry with a wand, he's finally presented with the wand of Holly and Phoenix Feather, 11 inches. The moment Harry grips it, a stream of red and gold sparks shoot from the end.
And Ollivander is profoundly disturbed by the coincidence.
The revelation is breathtaking.
Yeah.
And chilling. The feather core of Harry's wand came from the very same phoenix that provided the feather for Voldemort's wand.
Ollivander calls them brothers. This creates an intimate magical connection between the hero and his nemesis, a bond established by fate before they ever even confronted each other. Ollivander's parting words, curious, just hang heavy in the air. So after the emotional intensity of Diagon Alley, Harry is forced back to the Dursleys, waiting for September 1st. And the tension is just unbearable.
The Dursleys drive Harry to King's Cross Station, but only to abandon him between platforms 9 and 10, mocking him because there is no visible platform 9 3/4. This is the ultimate act of abandonment.
Leaving him stranded with this massive trunk and his owl headwig, attracting all these funny looks.
He is filled with despair, which highlights his complete reliance on the kindness of strangers or fate. Just as he's truly panicking, he overhears the Weasley family.
A large, red-haired, boisterous group that immediately represents everything Harry lacks. Casual affection, a sense of belonging, and just operational knowledge of this secret world.
He watches them disappear seamlessly through the solid brick barrier, and, following the kind instruction of the plump Mrs. Weasley, he runs straight at the wall, bracing for impact.
And the transition is a visual shock. The scarlet steam engine, the bustling crowd, the chaos, the noise of owls, a sensory overload that confirms this world is vibrant, real, and entirely his.
Once he's on the train, the initial crucial bonds start to form. Harry finds Ron Weasley, the youngest son of the family he just met.
And Ron is instantly relatable, gangling, freckled, plagued by hand-me-downs, and totally overshadowed by 5 older brothers.
This contrast creates their immediate connection. Harry has unexpected wealth, but a vacuum of family and knowledge.
And Ron has a loving, if crowded family, but feels poor and overshadowed. When Harry explains his life in the cupboard, Ron is immensely comforted. He finally finds someone worse off than him.
The strength of their bond is tested when Harry casually says Voldemort.
Yeah.
Ron just gasps, looking both shocked and impressed that Harry would dare use the name everyone else fears.
It cements Harry's early reputation for bravery, even though Harry just didn't know the rules yet.
Their time is interrupted by two key introductions. First, nervous Neville Longbottom, searching desperately for his lost toad.
And then Hermione Granger bursts in.
She is a whirlwind of bushy hair and aggressive academic confidence. She immediately criticizes Ron's non-magical failed spell attempt and proudly reveals she has memorized all her course books.
She is ambition and intellect personified.
She instantly identifies Harry, having read about him in historical texts. She doesn't see a boy. She sees a famous figure reinforcing Harry's unwelcome celebrity before he even arrives at school.
The early bond between Harry and Ron is almost immediately challenged by the return of Malfoy, who's accompanied by his intimidating bodyguards Grab and Goyle.
Malfoy attempts to reassert the dominance he displayed in Diagon Alley, demanding Harry reject the wrong sort, meaning Ron. This is a crucial test of loyalty.
And Harry refuses. And Ron's fierce, immediate defense, culminating in Scabbers biting Goyle, confirms the trio's alliance before they even set foot in the castle.
The journey culminates with the terrifying prospect of the sorting ceremony. The first years are massed outside the Great Hall, convinced they have to face some complex physical test.
They're led into the hall, which is grand and overwhelming, and encounter a group of arguing ghosts. Professor McGonagall explains the house system, the 4 houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, and the constant competition for the House Cup.
The ceremony uses a patched, dirty hat. When Harry is called, the entire hall falls silent. The weight of his fame and his history is just palpable.
The Sorting Hat engages Harry in an intense internal debate. The hat sees immense courage, talent, and a deep, powerful ambition qualities that would make him great in Slytherin.
But Harry, remembering that conversation with Malfoy and his immediate repulsion to that ideology, clings desperately to one silent plea. Not Slytherin. He is making a choice against destiny.
And the hat respects this choice, shouting, "Gryffindor!"
The sorting is a moment of profound relief and acceptance. Harry is followed immediately by Ron, solidifying their friendship as they are now co-members of the same house.
And the subsequent first feast is an overwhelming sensory experience for Harry turkeys, roast beef, ice cream, treacle tart, a stark contrast to his years of deprivation under the Dursleys.
And his attention is drawn to the hook-nosed teacher at the high table, Professor Snape, whose intense gaze instantly causes a sharp, burning pain across his lightning scar. This foreshadows an immediate, powerful antagonism. So Harry's life quickly settles into the rhythm of lessons, but the narrative immediately pivots toward the central mystery of the year, driven by curiosity and an accident.
The pivot occurs when the newly formed trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, are escaping the caretaker Filch in panic into a forbidden third-floor corridor. They find themselves staring at a monstrous 3-headed dog, Fluffy, guarding a trapdoor.
Fluffy is terrifying, immense drooling, and fills the space. Harry's frozen, but it is Hermione, the intellectual driver of the group, who brings clarity.
Right, she says it's obviously guarding something. The stakes are established immediately. A secret, highly protected item is hidden within the castle walls.
And the suspicion is immediately directed toward Professor Snape. From the very first potions class, Snape demonstrates this intense, palpable hostility toward Harry.
This intense hatred causes the hot pain in Harry's scar, confirming that there is some powerful dark connection between the two of them.
This suspicion reaches a crisis point during Harry's first Quidditch match. Harry, unexpectedly thrust into the role of Seeker, the player responsible for catching the fast, tiny golden snitch, finds his high-performance broom suddenly malfunctioning.
It's zigzagging violently, threatening to throw him hundreds of feet in the air.
Ron and Hermione, watching from the sands, spot Snape on the opposite side. He's muttering curses and maintaining this intense, unwavering eye contact with Harry. They are convinced Snape is actively trying to kill Harry to get at the secret item.
So Hermione's intervention is a perfect example of non-magical brilliance. She rushes to the staff box, knocks over a frantic Professor Quirrell, and sets Snape's robes on fire as a distraction.
The interruption works. Snape loses focus, and Harry regains control, securing an accidental victory by nearly swallowing the snitch.
The trio confronts Hagrid, who is devastated that they know about Fluffy. Hagrid inadvertently confirms that the dog is his, and that someone had tried to get past it on Halloween when the troll was loose.
He confirms the intruder was bitten, which just reinforces the trio's conviction that Snape is desperate to steal whatever is being protected.
So the hunt begins, and it's centered on a name Hagrid inadvertently spoke, Nicholas Flamel. They spend weeks scouring hundreds of books until Hermione, through sheer academic tenacity, finds the truth.
The discovery is the Sorcerer's Stone. This raises the stakes dramatically.
Yeah, this isn't just a treasure, it's a legendary substance that transforms metal into gold and produces the elixir of life, granting its maker, Flamel, who is 665 years old, immortality.
The motivation for Snape is now crystal clear: ultimate power and eternal life. The trio concludes the stone must have been moved from Gringotts to Hogwarts for protection.
But the mystery is temporarily overshadowed by the dragon dilemma. Hagrid, utterly heartbroken and incredibly reckless, illegally hatches a Norwegian ridgeback dragon, Norbert, in his hut.
This is a massive security breach, made worse when Malfoy spies on Hagrid and reports him.
The resulting plan is incredibly high risk. Using Harry's father's invisibility cloak, a magical artifact that renders the wearer completely unseen, they transport the rapidly growing poisonous dragon to the tallest tower for pickup.
This subplot just highlights the recklessness that sometimes accompanies magical ability.
Despite the success of the transfer, Harry and Hermione, along with Neville, who tried to warn them, are caught when they get back. Professor McGonagall is furious, viewing this high-stakes rule-breaking as a profound betrayal of their house's principles.
She deducts 50 points each, plunging Gryffindor into last place. The crisis point arrives just before exams. Harry overhears Professor Quirrell sobbing, muttering desperately, "No, no, not again, please."
And Harry concludes that Snape has finally broken Quirrell's resistance and is moving to steal the stone, especially since Dumbledore has been called away to London on urgent business.
This perceived timeline forces Harry to make a monumental decision. He has to go after the stone alone. Ron and Hermione warn him desperately about the ultimate consequence: expulsion.
But Harry's response is the crystallization of his entire short new life. He argues that expulsion is meaningless if Voldemort returns. There won't be any Hogwarts to get expelled from.
His refusal to wait forces Ron and Hermione to choose loyalty over caution, confirming their friendship is now an unbreakable alliance.
Armed with the invisibility cloak, they begin the gauntlet through the Forbidden Corridor, a series of obstacles designed by the teachers that require different skills than just brute force.
First, Fluffy. Harry remembers Hagrid's drunken hint that the dog can be calmed by music. Using a small flute he pocketed, he lulls the monstrous dog to sleep, showing that understanding and emotional appeal can overcome physical strength.
They fall through the trapdoor into the devil's snare. This choking, aggressive plant thrives on fear. Harry and Ron panic, but Hermione, with cool, immediate recall of her herbology lessons, remembers the crucial non-magical principle. The plant shrinks when exposed to light.
Logic and knowledge save them.
The third obstacle is the life-size wizard chess game. This is a test of strategy and sacrifice. Ron, surprisingly, displays strategic genius, maneuvering Harry and Hermione into critical positions.
The sacrifice is immense. Ron realizes he must allow the White Queen to capture him to secure the victory. He's knocked out hard by the stone piece, forcing Harry and Hermione to push through, leaving their friend behind.
It just demonstrates the depth of Ron's loyalty and his strategic value.
Next, they find the massive knocked-out troll, indicating someone had already passed this barrier and incapacitated the guard.
The final barrier is Snape's protection. A room trapped by purple and black fire, with 7 bottles containing different potions and a complex riddle in verse. This is a pure test of logic over magic, where Hermione's critical thinking is the only solution.
Hermione solves the riddle, identifying the one potion to move them forward through the black fire and the one to send them back. Harry takes the forwarding potion, a freezing liquid, and walks through the flames, leaving Hermione behind to return and help the injured Ron.
And Harry's shock is absolute upon entering the last chamber. The man waiting is Professor Quirrell, not Snape.
Quirrell instantly binds Harry in ropes and confesses. He explains he let the troll in on Halloween as a distraction, but Snape, who already suspected Quirrell, went straight to the 3rd floor, interrupting his earlier attempt.
The final protection is revealed, the magnificent, ornate mirror of Arised. Quirrell explains that Dumbledore used the mirror to hide the stone. It can only be retrieved by someone who wants to find it, not use it.
Harry realizes his deepest desire is to possess the stone before Quirrell can. As he looks into the mirror, his reflection pulls the blood-red stone from its pocket, and instantly, Harry feels the weight of the stone drop into his real pocket.
Quirrell, desperate, demands to know what Harry sees. Harry lies quickly, claiming he sees himself shaking hands with Dumbledore for winning the House Cup, sealing the immediate confrontation.
Then comes the horrifying climax. A high, cold voice answers Quirrell's plea for help, seeming to come directly from Quirrell. Use the boy.
Quirrell unwraps his turban, revealing the horrifying second face hidden beneath the fabric. Voldemort.
The sight is terrifying. Chalk-white, glaring red eyes, slits for nostrils, like a snake. Voldemort confesses that he is a shadow, sharing Quirrell's body, kept strong by drinking unicorn blood in the forest.
Voldemort tries to persuade Harry to join him, claiming Harry's parents died, begging for mercy. Harry shouts, "Lie-RR," and springs toward the door.
Quirrell lunges, and the desperate physical struggle begins.
Harry realizes the truth of his survival. Quirrell cannot touch his bare skin. The powerful magical protection left by his mother's love causes Quirrell immense blistering pain.
Harry grabs Quirrell's face, holding on despite the blinding pain in his scar. The struggle ends with Harry losing consciousness as Quirrell howls in agony.
Harry wakes up 3 days later on the hospital wing, relieved to see Dumbledore smiling at him. Dumbledore explains that he arrived in time to pull Quirrell off Harry, but only after Harry's efforts nearly killed the possessor.
The fate of the stone is revealed. It has been destroyed by Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore reassures Harry that Flamel and his wife are prepared for this final step, noting with typical wisdom, "To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure."
Dumbledore corrects Harry on a profound matter of principle, echoing his earlier statement to McGonagall. "Call him Voldemort, Harry. Always use the proper name for things. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself."
He confirms Voldemort is still out there, a shadow, but that Harry's survival merely delayed his return.
And Harry demands to know the precise reason for his survival. Dumbledore reveals the power that protected him. Not magic from a wand, but his mother's love. Her sacrificial act left a powerful mark, a magical protection that Voldemort, who cannot comprehend love, cannot touch.
And this is why Quirrell's skin burned upon contact.
It's a major insight. The ultimate victory was secured not through superior firepower, but through an intrinsic emotional connection and sacrifice.
The truth about Snape is perhaps the most shocking character revelation of the year. Dumbledore reveals that Snape intensely hated Harry's father, James. However, James Potter once saved Snape's life.
Snape's intense protection of Harry throughout the year, from the Quidditch match to the final potion puzzle, was not out of affection for the boy, but entirely to clear a debt he owed to James.
Dumbledore notes that Snape felt that by protecting Harry, it would make him and James even, freeing Snape to go back to hating James's memory in peace.
It reveals Snape as a complex, debt-bound figure driven by obligation rather than morality.
Dumbledore also confirms he was the anonymous sender of the invisibility cloak, a rare magical artifact that belonged to Harry's father, who primarily used it for sneaking off to the kitchens to steal food.
Hagrid visits, bursting into tears, apologetic that he drunkenly revealed Fluffy's secret, that music puts him to sleep, to the hooded figure who tricked him at the pub.
And he gives Harry a final, profoundly touching gift, a photo album filled with pictures of Lily and James Potter.
The year ends on a high note. Dumbledore, presiding over the end-of-year feast, announces the final House Cup points. Slytherin is in the lead, but Dumbledore awards last-minute points, radically turning the tide.
50 points go to Ron for his strategy and sacrifice in the chess game. 50 points go to Hermione for using cool logic under fire. 60 points to Harry for true bravery.
And, crucially, Dumbledore awards 10 points to Neville Longbottom for standing up to his friends, stating it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends.
This last-minute snatching of the House Cup from Slytherin is a massive triumph, validating the worth of Gryffindor's collective efforts and moral compass.
The magical journey concludes with Harry returning to the Dursleys, and the contrast is just agonizing. He is back to being treated like a dog that had rolled in something smelly, longing intensely for the vibrant, meaningful life he just left behind.
The tension at Privet Drive is palpable. Uncle Vernon is pale and furious, treating Harry like a bomb that might go off at any moment, forbidding any mention of the M-word magic.
Harry's profound anxiety is now rooted in real knowledge. The danger of Voldemort is still out there somewhere. He's stranded in a world that offers no protection, no support, and no contact with his only friends, Ron and Hermione.
So Harry has moved from a repressed, confined life to confronting a dark wizard and discovering his lineage, his immense fame, and the sheer power of his mother's sacrifice, all in 1 year. He is no longer just Harry, he's the boy who lived, but he is, fundamentally, alone.
The transformation is complete, but the risk has increased exponentially. He faced unimaginable loss and gained immense knowledge. The core insight Dumbledore left him with, the idea that you must not dwell on dreams and forget to live, is vital.
He has to balance his legend with the practicalities of surviving in the ordinary world, knowing a powerful shadow is hunting him.
And as he sits miserably back under the Dursleys' psychological denial, the final profound anxiety lingers. Ron and Hermione promise to write, yet they have not contacted him all summer.
This silence is heavy. It forces us to ask, is this isolation merely chance, or is something sinister at play actively preventing contact with the magical world?
Creating a terrifying vulnerability for the boy who lived as he faces the next year. The safety he needs is gone, and the dark wizard is still unvanquished.